Well, good morning. I'm Jeff Coleman.
And I'm Deborah Pinkerton. Welcome to Morning Light.
Did you get it done? Did you get the school delivery done?
Yeah, I saw you did Monday.
I did.
And oh my goodness, so it was a busy one.
Did you cry?
We did. You did?
To make it safe for you to admit.
Oh, okay. But we were very happy. You know, we got her on, and you can see our car was packed. You can barely see. Look. Look at that.
I think that's her in the back there.
Oh my
Elaine.
goodness.
Wow.
She arrived and it's good.
I will tell you,
she's happy to be there, and her
seeing
brother's
these pictures,
close by.
Deborah, it's a little difficult to know who the college student is from those
that's
images.
so nice of you. I wish I was back in school.
Well, on a more serious note, we're taking a closer look at Canada's 9-year experiment with something called medical assistance in dying. You'll need to think about it because the debate is certain to be here in Pennsylvania very soon. We're going to ask the Morning Light panel for some perspective on a really tough topic.
It is a tough topic. Yeah. But first, here's a preview of what's coming up later in the show. Some of our neighbors struggle to put food on the table, but the nonprofit Blessings of Hope is working to help families in need. We will tell you how. Plus, we will share details about the organization's upcoming fundraisers.
It's a very good reminder for us to count our blessings and be thankful, Well, the Canadian Parliament legalized medical assistance in dying, or MAID, in 2016. Initially, the law was limited to dying adults with a grave diagnosis. Then it was changed to include serious and chronic conditions, but not facing death. Now the law is expected to change again in 2027, allowing euthanasia for those with a mental illness. And Deborah, get this, policymakers in Canada are now considering legalizing it for minors. This ever-changing assisted dying law has thrown Canada into a confusing ethical and moral debate, and it's already changing the questions we are asking here in America. And we're not asking too many hard questions about it.
Well, how are Canadians reacting?
Well, by and large, they have been very supportive, but I think there is now beginning to be some hesitancy. They're saying we've got to pump the brakes a little bit on this.
Well, the magazine The Atlantic conducted an in-depth analysis of Canada's law medical assisted in dying. The author says 3 core values explain support for the law: autonomy, choice, and control. Since the law passed 9 years ago, more than 60,000 people have opted for physician-assisted suicide.
Huge number.
There's an even new culture emerging for celebrations for family members about to experience this way of dying.
This is changing the culture in Canada, and if we do not have this conversation now, it will change us very quickly here. 10 states and the District of Columbia allow some form of euthanasia or doctor-assisted suicide. To date, advocates have been unsuccessful in Pennsylvania. So there are 4 questions I think that we'd like our morning panel to discuss this morning. How does Christian teaching on the sanctity of life inform our view of the issue? Secondly, what does compassion look like in medical decisions, especially for the dying? What purpose is there in end-of-life suffering? Is there a purpose? And how can we better love those who are at the end, nearing death? Pastor Dave Biser, John Wetzel, and Cynthia Lyons will tackle a difficult topic this morning. And thank you for being willing to talk about this. It is a topic that is beginning to creep into our conversations because we, for decades now, have had this phrase, my body, my choice. And we immediately think about that at the beginning of life. Now that same principle, those same principles are being applied to the end. Because if I can control the beginning, shouldn't I be able to control the end? Pastor Biser, what is the core Christian teaching on a topic like this? And why aren't we even asking that question right now?
Right. I'm fascinated by words like autonomy and control, and those kinds of identifiers that I'm in charge of who I am, what I do, and what happens to me. And the reality in Christianity is I surrendered that control and that autonomy over to my Lord, and gave Him all of the choices that I would like to make for myself. I've handed those over.
All of the right.
So that's obedience and surrender, right? And so in pastoral ministry of 35 years, I've been in this situation with people where they were just asking, can I just go? Can I just go? Why? What's the purpose behind this? And I think it's what we want to know. Is there a purpose behind this? You know, Scripture tells us that God's working for the good for all those who follow Him, are obedient to His word and obedient to His ways. And so, how do we mesh that all up? And the reality is, there can be good in suffering. There can be something powerful and positive as we reach the end of our lives. And one of the things I've learned is how to die well. by others who have done it in front of me. And I think if we just allow ourselves to end life on our terms, we take something away from who God is, and we take something away from each other as a community. We're not meant to live autonomously. We're meant to live in community with each other. And that means during the good things and the bad.
Cynthia, what he's saying is, I'm hearing it, and I hear the compassion in his voice, but I know there are people who are watching from a hospital room now who are just saying, just let me go. And then you have this body of people around who don't know what to say to that, and they're not always reminding people that God has a purpose in this. What possibly could the purpose be in God's plan to extend life, and why can't we just cut in and interrupt that timetable?
Oh, wow. Okay. So this is a hard one for me because I've always said that I prayed for hard every day for less suffering for my parents. And I didn't see it. So in the end, it was not as pretty as what we hope. You know, don't we hope to just say, oh, take me home, Lord?
Right.
But sometimes we don't get that. So the practical side of can someone just, and selfish me, can someone please help? Because as a family member standing by watching it, watching sometimes the suffering, it's really hard because those are the times that we hope that we are praying to a God with big shoulders. Because we are putting a lot on him. We're putting a lot of questions on him. Like, where are you now? Okay. Why aren't you here? What is happening now that you think that there's good in it?
It's like those are saving those questions for heaven. There's a list, isn't there?
Absolutely. And we always know that they're going on to something that is far better than we are told it is far better than we could ever experience here.
John, you have seen a lot of death, and certainly...
It seems like anytime suffering comes up, I have some specific expertise. I spent my whole career with people who suffer. So
So over the past, and in your journey now, I've watched you, and I think our viewers have watched you process and think and almost pray out loud while you're on this program. Where's your faith now intersecting with this question of when life should end and what in the world is the purpose of suffering?
Yeah, so it really, I've seen this up close and personal. And I've really, you say you've learned from others, but I've just been blown away by the strength. And most of the people we're talking about are people who are locked up in prison, serving life in prison. And first and foremost, compassion, of course. My team, shortly after we took over, launched an initiative to have every prison have a hospice program. Because people should die with dignity, no matter what they did. When you talk about my faith, I think the first thing that it really, in this issue, the first question I ask is, why are we even talking about this? And so we have to, why is God asking us to talk about this? And I think it's very clear to me. I think we've conflated government with governance, and as Christians, our governance is our Lord's governance, and there's no question about how we're supposed to suffer. We are supposed to pick up our cross and follow me. And a way to really think about it, and what I've learned from lifers who are dying is, for some people, it gives them time to get right, and because at that moment you have no control explicitly. And so those who just give that control to our Lord, at that moment, I've seen men who've served 30, 40, 50, 60 years die with more peace than I was jealous in those moments, you know? And so for me, it's very clear. In government, you can argue that I'm not qualified to argue about this or that or this or that. I do know that in society, we're at a place where we have emotional death. I mean, we're at emotional death. Nothing moves the needle to us emotionally. So we better focus a little more on the other governance, I think.
Speaking to people right now who go, there is no point to this, what is your answer to that can give them some confidence that even in your paralysis, your inability to speak, that there's a purpose in this kind of suffering.
Yeah, one of the key circumstances in my life that really taught me so much was walking through a 5-year process with a man in my neighborhood and in our congregation who had ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, and to watch him slowly lose his ability to walk, lose his ability to, you lose every ability eventually. I remember the conversation we had. He said, I don't know whether I should go on a ventilator or not. I said, well, you know what the end result is, right? And so why wouldn't you ask for just a little more time with your boys? And he said, good answer. I'm going on the ventilator then. You know, give that I know what's coming, so why speed that up?
At this point, it's for the boys.
Right.
Right.
And so he, and I'm still connected with that family. I still talk to his sons, and those were traumatic days for them. But he taught them how to live well, and he taught them how to die well. He taught them how to be a dad, and he taught them how to live life to its fullest, no matter what life throws at us. Because these things these shells that we live in are imperfect, incredibly imperfect. And so we want to control this as much as we possibly can. And I've learned to surrender that. Now, I've also been in the situations, as we all have, where someone died suddenly, and we didn't get a chance to say goodbye. We didn't get it, and so we mourn more deeply. I think we grieve more deeply in those circumstances. So the ability to linger and to live long, even when suffering is a part of that, I think is an important part of who we are as a society.
I've learned from people who work in hospice and deeply, as you mentioned them, is that they believe that one of the last senses to go is hearing. And so the ministry, I think what seems to be what changes a lot of us is the ministry in the last moments when they cannot say anything back, and you're reading the Psalms or you're singing a hymn or you're reminding them that they are deeply loved. That seems to be an incredible gift we can give them, Cynthia.
And that's what I did with my mom. Knowing her heart stopped, I just talked. I just talked, knowing where she was, knowing where she was heading, knowing who she was going to be with. And there was peace in that for me. And just quickly, I always tell this story because as strong that I feel it was so hard watching a parent or a loved one go in terrible situations. In my situation, 12 hours before my dad's heart stopped, my phone binged. And when I looked at it, it was just a picture, and it only said Jesus. And to this day, I don't know why, how, I have no idea. I still have it. So there is that purpose you may not see at the time, but you do afterwards.
Well, thank you for this. I don't think we were looking to solve the policy question today, but I do think that we have to add this perspective to any public policy debate that we have.
The government governance thing
so thank you.
That's my takeaway today, right there.
Thanks for sharing very, very much. Well, some of our neighbors struggle with the lack of food. Each day, truckloads of food gets thrown away, but Blessings of Hope is bridging that gap. You're going to find out how. That's up next. You're watching Morning Light right here on Lighthouse TV.
Welcome back. Feeding the hungry, delivering hope, and empowering others to be the hands and feet of Jesus Christ. Blessings of Hope is the vital link in the food chain. Here to explain how the organization is fighting food insecurity is the CEO, David Lapp. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me back.
So talk to us again about Blessings of Hope.
So Blessings of Hope, we are a nonprofit food distribution center that serves large corporations that want to donate their food rather than just send it to the landfill, and nonprofits that need whatever volume of that food. So we're a logistics and warehousing organization that is able to take the large volume and make that available to the nonprofits.
And what areas do you cover?
We cover Mid-Atlantic region, Connecticut to DC, East Coast to Pittsburgh is our primary distribution area. We do have a food selection center in Campbellsville, Kentucky. So we have about 250 organizations in the Tennessee, Kentucky region that we served last year, but it's mainly Northeast U.S. at this point.
And so you started in 2006.
Yeah.
How has it expanded?
Well, there's been quite a few changes since 2006. So we started in a 3-car garage, and in 2019 we moved into our first warehouse that we owned, which was a 44,000 square foot, and we thought we had 5 to 10 years to grow into it, and we outgrew it in 6 months. So since that, we have added We have over 100,000 square foot of storage capacity at this point.
Oh my goodness. Talk to us about the types of food. So anything.
So it's anything you'll see at a grocery store. So most of our food comes from large distribution centers. A lot of it's semi-truck volume where, it's getting to the point where it's either too close to expiration date to send to retail, it's overproduced, it's misshipped, it's mislabeled. Might be a word spelled wrong on the label, and the company doesn't want to sell it, so they're looking for a place to get rid of it. We live in a nation that wastes a semi-truckload of food every 13 seconds. There is no food shortage.
Wow.
What we're seeing is there's a management issue, and that issue being large corporations have this food they got to get rid of, but they don't want to deal with 50 organizations every day. Then you have the nonprofit that needs 10 boxes of that semi-truckload, but if they don't take the whole load, they get none of it. And there was a disconnect between the corporations and the nonprofits that are serving our communities, and Blessing of Hope is looking to bridge that gap.
So what type of a difference is this organization making?
Well, there's testimonies every day of people just finding Christ, just finding hope in the last minute. Families that don't have food available and now they do, and it's just a lot of very neat stories of ways that God was able to minister to somebody's heart in a dire situation.
And speaking of God, how do you weave the gospel into what you're doing?
So the boxes that we pack, which are our Hands of Hope program, which is a pre-packed box program, we put a Gospel of John in every box. We do make those available to our partner ministries. We encourage them to have prayer tents or because we're privately funded, we're able to empower the church to share the gospel when they're giving out food and actually minister to the hearts of the people, not just the physical needs of the people.
And what type of reactions have you heard or are you getting?
There's people's lives that are being changed at the outreach. Is that if somebody cares, you have a reason to go on with life, and just being able to share that hope of Jesus Christ and to see people react to that, to just be there for people in their time of need and help them overcome that. It's very rewarding.
Great. We do have to take a break, but we do have much more to talk about, so stick around. Coming up next on Morning Light, Blessings of Hope wants to help you protect your family, legacy, and faith. Plus, learn how you can attend the organization's annual banquet. That's next. Stay with us. In our last segment, you heard the mission of Blessings of Hope. Now we want to share some details about a few upcoming events. Joining us once again is CEO David Lapp. So you have a busy September. Talk to us about the one event you have coming up.
So the financial planning event coming up is September 4th, live in person in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and then September 5th online. And all these details on our website, blessingofhope.com/events. But it's an opportunity for you to create your end-of-life documents, to give your next generation the gift of knowing your wishes. And it's learning about wills, estate plans, trusts, child care directives, health care directives, that kind of thing, to where you can leave a gift of your wishes to the next generation or to your heirs. And at the event, there's a lot of information. There's no obligation to do anything, but it's an opportunity for free to create your end-of-life documents. Statistics show about 65% of Americans would die without a will or any kind of end-of-life directive in place, and that just leaves a lot of hassles for the courts, a lot of heartbreak in the family, a lot of unknowns. Where if we can make our wishes known on paper in a legal document for free, why would we not do that? Why would we not give the next generation that gift of knowing what we wanted to happen?
Right, yeah, that's certainly true. And it surprises me so many people do not have a plan in place, but that is important, especially for the next generation.
Well, the thing of it is, dying is something we don't want to think about. So it's something that's, we know it's coming in the future, but it's something that's easy to push off. But, I personally went through the process, and it is a very, very simple process. Once we decided to do it, that was probably the hardest part, was actually deciding to do it and making that a priority.
So talk to us about the Fall Banquet.
Fall Banquet is September the 18th at Shady Maple in East Earl, PA. And that's usually just a fun evening of sharing updates on the ministry, meeting our partners, meeting our volunteers, just getting to know the community that we serve with. Blessings of Hope could not exist without the support of the community. And just being able to build those relationships, to be there, hear the concerns, hear the ideas, hear the feedback from the community is always a valuable piece. And of course, on top of that, it is a fundraiser event which helps generate funds for the ministry. But the bigger thing is really the heart connections that happen and the lasting relationships that happen at these events.
Yeah, as you're getting ready to celebrate almost 20 years, so things like this do make a difference, and it helps build your ministry.
Yeah, it's a time of, like I said, just getting to know who we're co-laboring with. The Bible talks about knowing who labor amongst you, and it's just a time of sharing hearts and sharing ideas and letting God work.
And how do you see that God has strengthened your faith?
Well, it's definitely been an act of God to be able to do what we do today. And over the years, just being able to trust that He has the next step in the palm of His hands, and that He has a plan for us. And I go back to, I think it was 2018 or 2019, we had a conversation with the founders of the organization, and we were talking about how a lot of people, they know God called them to something, but they fight it. And then when they finally give in and do what God called them to do, it works. And we talked about why would we try to educate God what is possible here? Why don't we say yes? If we know He called us to something, our answer is yes, Lord. How? And then we take that next step that He shows us, and we look back the last number of years, and there are so many seemingly impossible situations that I'm not even sure how we got through, but by the hand of God and taking that next step, we look back and somehow we got through them.
Yeah, I love that, because it does seem like so many times it's like we're trying to tell God, this is what we want, this is what we need, do something about it, instead of saying, God, show us, lead us the way.
Yeah, we have found that it works better to get our direction from Him than to try to give Him direction. And it just works better all around.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
And for more information about Blessings of Hope, or to attend the financial planning or annual banquet events, you can check out blessingsofhope.com. Stay with us. We're back right after the break. Welcome back. Coming up tomorrow on Morning Light, empowering survivors to flourish and thrive is the mission of Hope, Inspire, Love. Learn how this Pennsylvania faith-based nonprofit is raising awareness for human trafficking and sexual exploitation, one step at a time. And that's a look at what's coming up tomorrow on Morning Light. Now, Jeff, your closing thoughts.
It does begin with awareness, Deborah. It's going to be an important interview tomorrow. Well, President Donald Trump has shared some moving personal thoughts about aging. Last year, he said, there comes a point in life where you don't want to hear happy birthday anymore. You just want to pretend that the day doesn't exist. The president is 79. Yesterday morning, he told Fox and Friends that he wants to try to get to heaven if possible. I'm hearing I'm not doing well, he said. I'm really at the bottom of the totem pole. He thinks that this peace deal, if he's able to achieve that between Ukraine and Russia, might help him get there. It was beautiful and painful, but so very honest. And it's where so many of us live before we accept this fact, that there's only one way to get to that ultimate destination. And it's not by being good to your wife or kind to the dog or getting a peace deal done. It's by putting your full faith and confidence into the one who paid the price for all sin, past, present, and future. If President Trump or you are looking for peace, That's where to find it. In the old words of that hymn, Jesus paid it all. And that's the peace that we're all seeking, and I hope that he finds it. For Deborah and the entire Morning Light team, I'm Jeff Coleman. Thanks for watching today. Be sure to check on your neighbors, and then we'll meet back here tomorrow morning.